Alright, welcome to my video. We are at Fort Worden in Port Townsend, Washington State. This is a coastal defense fortress. There's a lot of bunkers here. There's that one up there, and then up there on top of that hill there's more, and we'll be going up there in a little bit. But first we're going to hang out down here on the lower section, take a look around, give you a little bit of history of the place, and show you the scenery. So stick with us. So this is Battery Kinsey, and I think it was built 1909 through 1910. They had some big guns up here, and we'll be taking a look at that in a minute. It's a place where a lot of people like to come and have fun, play hide and seek in the bunkers and scare people and such, but we're not here to do that today. I had my fill of that when I was younger. Alright, this is where one of the guns was. There's graffiti all over the place here. Down here in this hole, this is where the gun emplacement was. And it was a huge, huge gun. It was able to swivel in here, of course. And it came up, and when it wasn't being used, it would be pointing down towards this wall. And that's when they would load the shell, find out where they needed to point it, then it would raise up over the top, lock, fire, well, not really lock onto, but find its target, zero in, and fire, and the recoil made the gun come back down, so they could fire and not be fired back on. In a minute, I'll show you above what it looks like in the layout of the land.
You're fine.
Okay, going up to the roof of the fort. Look at that view. Looks like it's low tide. Okay, out in that direction, that goes to the Pacific Ocean. Over there is Vancouver Island, Canada. That is Whidbey Island, and that's where Fort Casey is. Right over here in this little saddle, that's Fort Casey, and it was another fortress like this. Then you go this way, and that is to go to the Puget Sound and the Hood Canal in Seattle and Bremerton, Tacoma. And then over here, on that point, is Fort Flagler, which was another one of these forts. And they all had different layouts, but they all had the same kind of guns, and they all pointed out here, and they had submarine nets that would go across to stop enemy submarines from coming in. And that didn't work because stories tell that there was a Japanese submarine. There was a Japanese submarine that got into Puget Sound. But they had this set up, and it was called the Triangle of Fire, or Triangle of Death. And they would let an enemy ship get in there, and they would just rain fire and metal and steel down on that ship. But none ever got in here. There were no shots fired in anger from this fort. And that's the command bunker and watch. And let's see here. That's the Point Wilson Lighthouse down there. And let's go over this way. Okay, so we're going over this way now. You know, we'll go up here for a view. Get on top of this watch post. We'll go in there in a little bit. There. How's that for a view? Isn't that just beautiful out there? It's the Straits of Juan de Fuca. Whidbey Island. And the kelp beds where seals play. So, coming back over this way. Here's another gun pit. This one's filled with dirt and grass. And it was the same kind of gun, same size. I can't remember the exact caliber or anything, but they're huge. Fort Casey actually still has the guns in place. All right, here's the kelp beds out there. There's probably some sea otters and seals playing around out there somewhere. Okay, so these, I'm not exactly certain what these are. I don't know what all the rooms are for and spaces. This may have been a powder storage. I don't know. But here's the gun pit again. And my grandson taking pictures. And there's one of the tunnels that goes down inside, right over there. This door right here. This is interesting. This is where they lay out shells all along this shelf. Big, huge shells. And this is the elevator that the powder would come up on. They'd winch the powder barrels or kegs or whatever they were. And this is a shell elevator. The storage was down below. The shells would come up on a winch or an elevator or whatever, roll out onto this, and they'd take them over there. Okay, I've switched to my camcorder now. You'll see why in a little bit. We're going into the tunnel. And it's pretty dark in there. So let me switch modes. Okay, we have switched to infrared night vision. It's going to look like a ghost hunters type of thing, but this way you can see down in here. And this is a little scamper way. We'll go down there a little bit. There's the floor. There's the ceiling. This is inside the great big bunker. There's the wall at the end. And it goes over that way. And it goes back this way. And it goes out. Alright, this is where the shells were brought up. There's my grandson with his flashlight and camera being a dork. You probably already heard him. And here's where the powder got brought up. And here's where the shells got brought up. And back in here, this was where they stored them. You can see these rollers that they had them on. And there's some markings from back when this fort was still in use. I know it was used as late as World War II. But those are the roller tracks that they would bring the shells out to run up on the elevator. Here's another conduit passage. Here's another room. Can you imagine the fun you could have playing hide and seek in here? So many little passageways. Maybe do a haunted house. Alright, over here is another bunker. I'm keeping it on the camcorder in case we go in. This is the Thomas Vickers battery. They had smaller guns over here. Let's see what's down in here. Just a little small room. Okay, so Thomas Vickers battery. There's another small room down there. There's where the smaller gun sat. And then down here was probably ammunition storage. Okay, these were two 5-inch ballast mount pillars installed in 1902. They were shipped to Europe in 1918, and the guns weren't, this side wasn't used in World War II. So the guns probably got used, the 5-inch guns probably got used as artillery over in France or something. And yeah. Okay, here we are at the top of the hill. That is the enlisted men's housing, and you could rent those out now. And it goes way down there. And there's the parade field. And then the other side, there's the chapel way down there. And then those are officers' housing. The officers kind of got to live pretty good, while the enlisted men had these barracks that were typical for enlisted men, but very beautiful buildings. They kind of match Port Townsend. There's a lot of Victorian style houses up here. So now we're headed up to the bunkers on the hill, which I just learned were actually built first. Kinsey bunker, which we just came from, was built last. It was the last emplacement built on the Puget Sound. We'll look at it, the Puget Sound again. And the big guns were 12-inch cannons. That means the barrel diameter was 12 inches, mounted on disappearing carriages so that they could pop back down. All right, so now we're going to go up to the top of the hill. All right, so we're following the road, going up the hill to the bunkers on Artillery Hill, and get you a look at the forest out here. It's really beautiful and quiet here. There's lots of deer that live in this town and come out. They're afraid of very little, but lots of deer, and they hang out in this park, and sometimes you'll see them. Hopefully we'll get some pictures of them today. These weren't disappearing carriage guns. These were just big guns mounted up here, looking out that way over the straits. And up there is the watch post. and we'll go there in a few minutes. All right, here's the view from up on top of the hill, looking out. Looking down at the water, the end of the kelp beds. All right, we're looking back towards Battery Tolls, and you can tell how well hidden it is. And we're probably 50 feet from it. 50 yards, but you can see we're standing almost on top of it and you can't see it. Imagine if you're out there on a ship. All right, Battery Cornelius Tolls, named in honor of Brevet Colonel Cornelius Tolls, U.S. Volunteer Cavalry, 13th U.S. Infantry, who died November 8, 1864 of wounds received in action at Newton, Virginia, October 16, 1864. So this is named after a Civil War colonel. We got a little visitor.
It's a red squirrel.
It's a red squirrel. Our little guy. Oh, he didn't like that.
Hi.
He's getting upset. He wants us to leave. All right. We're coming out of the bluff trail to another bunker. And look at that view. Judging by that channel marker out there, the tide's going out. Changing hands here. All right, that's Whidbey Island out there again. And over there's that saddle where Fort Casey is. Oops, my mistake. It's not in that saddle. It's over here on that point. That's Fort Casey. Way out over there. Right there where my finger's pointing. Right there. That's Fort Casey. So here we are on top of Artillery Hill. I'm going to come around. There were some buildings over there and bunkers all through here. Up here was the World War II Groupment Command Post. I think that was down there. And let's get down below and do some more exploring. All right, here's a vehicle tunnel. Goes underneath the command post. That's Vincent you hear again. But what do we have here? Stairs in the darkness. Ooh, it's scary. I actually can't see the handhold. Alright, what's this room? Oh, this is just a little communications shed or something. And there's a hole in the floor that I stepped in. Here's another room. I wish I could tell you what each one of these rooms were used for. Sadly, I can't. And this goes up onto the observation post. Unfortunately, the view is blocked these days with trees. All right, here's another conduit tunnel. Let's just hope this one's not flooded like the last one was that we went down. Doesn't appear to be. Here's a wonder what that was. So here we're just going through this twisting, winding maze here. And there's the end. Alright, I don't know how well you can see this, but this is the battery that we're at, Battery Benson, which was started in 1904 and completed in 1908. It mounted two 10-inch model 1900 guns mounted on two model 1901 disappearing carriages. The battery was named in honor of Captain Henry Benson, who died on 11 August 1862 of wounds received in 1862 at the Battle of Malvern Hill, Virginia. The guns were removed in 1943 and scrapped. They were the most used of the large bore guns at the fort. They have fired over 650 rounds from this, but that was only due to battery practice. And this is the gun right here in that disappearing carriage, and it's in its lowered position. This position is ready for loading the shell and powder charge. Just prior to firing, a mechanism releases the counterweight located under the gun carriage, which causes the gun tube to rotate up into firing position. The recoil from the firing immediately forces the gun tube back down to the lowered position where it is ready for loading the next round. This was the last one that was built for the fort, and I just found some information here. During the late 1950s, the long-range search radar for the Seattle Nike missile defense system was installed on top of Battery Benson. The radar base is the large concrete block on top of the battery. This radar antenna ceased operation on 5th of September 1960. So I had always heard stories about this place being connected to the Nike missile system. And there was three variants of the Nike missiles. One of them was nuclear, and they were anti-ballistic missile defense systems. Meant that they were designed to shoot down enemy incoming missiles or bombers. And you might ask, why did they have a nuclear missile in the Nike missile system? Well, that was so they could take out a whole bunch of missiles at one time. It wasn't very smart, but they thought it was at the time. That is the big block that search radar was mounted on for the Nike missiles. And further up the hill, over there, got you dizzy, is where the base command and radar command bunkers are. And we'll be going up there in just a moment. Okay, this is the tunnel that goes up to where the radar control center was. And it's a nice long one. So let me switch to IR. And let's follow the tunnel. It's about, I don't know, maybe 5 feet wide. And when I was younger, I actually rode a bicycle down this at breakneck speed. I look back on it now, that was crazy. Alright, we're going into the light now. The light at the end of the tunnel. And here we are, the top of that tunnel. Now I think these big pillars, and there's a bunch of them up here, were used for antennas. That was, I'm wrong. According to this sign, the columns once supported the optical instruments used for spotting and tracking ships that were to be engaged by batteries Ash, Powell, and Brannan. And this big circular field here, underneath that is a 2 million gallon water cistern that was used for the fort. The water was piped over from Discovery Bay from behind a dam somewhere. I don't know where that spot is, but that would be interesting to find and see if it's still there. Alright, this pit here, let me get into some shade so you can see it. This is where the Central Command bunker was. It was just a regular old building, but they dug it down into a pit to keep it safe from enemy shelling. But this is where it stood at one time. And back over there, I believe, was a searchlight building. And if it wasn't a searchlight, it was something else really important. Ha ha ha. It was a radar or a searchlight or antennas or something. I don't see a sign up there that says what it is. And over here, under this mound that's covered with ivy, is more underground buildings. That the last time I was here, they were all sealed up. You couldn't go inside. But I want to walk around to where the entrance is and see if I can get in there. Okay, I found my way to get over to where the entrance to that building is. There is some kind of communications array up there. I don't know how old it is, but it doesn't look too old. And there's a sign up here. They got these signs all over the place. And let's see what this one says about this. There's the door over there, or the entranceway. Let's see what we got. It's the switchboard room from 1919. The structure was burnt in the 1970s, and it's now closed to the public. That's a shame. Doesn't look closed to me. So let's go in and take a look. Oh, yeah, it is closed. Just a little square room here. And it's padlocked. So it's closed. It's worth a try. If you look up there, that's two F-18s out getting some stick time coming from Air Base Whidbey Island. Alright, so this is Battery Joseph Ash. And there were some buildings up here, probably administrative or... Oh, those were the command buildings, that's right. And here's a view down the line of the bunker. Now people I like to say these bunkers are haunted, but I don't think so. I've never heard of any stories of deaths in these, and there was never any combat here. Alright, Memories Vault. I'm not sure what it was for, but let's find out. Big rock cemented into place. And these pillars. Interesting. These pillars all tell stories.
So we should each read a poem and then report back.
Okay, so this is where the barracks stood that housed the members of the Army Corps of Engineers who from 1898 to 1907 were responsible for the design and construction of the artillery batteries at Fort Worden. The concrete vault in which the plans for the batteries were kept is all that remains of the original structure. And that's it right there. And that's the vault with a big old rock in it. So that's where the original plans were held. Alright, this is the hill, or the road down the hill from Artillery Hill, the upper bunkers. We're headed back down towards the car. Gonna get some lunch and then head home. And I'll shoot some more and show you some of the scenery from up here, because it's a beautiful view from up here on the hill. I never get over it. Alright, here we are looking down on the residential sections of the base. The enlisted men's quarters are the closest to us, and going out to the parade grounds, and then the officers' quarters are on the other side of the parade grounds. We got at least one deer up here. That's why I'm talking quietly now. Okay, there's two. We're going to move to the far edge of the road. I don't know if you can see him climbing up the hill up there, but we're going to try to pass around them quietly if Vincent will cooperate. Hi guys. We're not going to hurt you. We're just passing through. Vincent thinks they're donkeys. Hi.